Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first 2017 installment of the GTDC's Inside Tech Distribution webinar. This is Tim Curran, the CEO of the GTDC, and I'm delighted you are all here. In the spring edition here, we'll be talking today to Scott Campbell, a channel veteran with nearly 20 years of experience as a journalist and now Director of Comcentric Solutions Research Practice, a firm devoted to channel analysis and related communications services. So before getting started, here's a quick snapshot of the GTDC members covering the globe, operating in 187 countries, 95% of the world, and generating more than $130 billion in annual products and services business. Today we have 19 members, the biggest, most powerful, most successful technology distributors in the world, and we've got several new members, which I'm delighted to have in the group: Almo, Elko, Exclusive, Pinnacle, who have joined us recently and are contributing to our voice to articulate the value of technology distribution. Other facts and figures shown here show the immense value of distribution. $12 billion in credit extended annual, hundreds of thousands of configurations, 400,000 integrations, thousands of solution center visits, 300 million software licenses processed, thousands of certifications, and millions of calls. We're excited to give you today an update, though those are basic facts and figures, of the traditional and ongoing role that distributors play in the logistics area, but there's so much more going on, we want to articulate that to the listeners. We're excited to give you an updated sense of the progress distributors are making on a global basis, while also sharing with you a look at the European market upturn we're currently seeing as we get ready for our annual summit in Vienna in June this year. As in all parts of the world, distributors have already moved well past the days of pick, pack, and ship, and here on this list you see a sampling of all the types of services distributors offer today: engineering and design, licensing, configuration, device program, solutions, educations and tradings, government services, project management, annuity management. Now, a vendor may look at this list and say, hey, wait a minute, I do some of that too. The point is the distributors offer these services. They do not compete with their customers, but a customer who has one of these services can add to their services portfolio by leveraging this broad capability that the distributors offer. Now today, to help us dive into this reality and to help everyone get a better grasp of what's happening in distribution and in the areas of transformation and innovation, we have enlisted Scott Campbell from Comcentric Solutions to conduct a study, Insight into 2017, which has been incredibly well received in the market. The downloads are increasing, and it's clear that this is information that many, many people want to see and understand, because it truly does reveal what many fail to realize, that distributors are on the cutting edge of these developments, because distributors are purveyors of comprehensive multi-vendor solutions, as always, yet in new ways as the digital era unfolds on a global scale. So before we get into some of our Europe-specific developments today, Scott, let's hear from you about the approach and how we designed and conducted this study and what the study reveals.
Great, sure, Tim. Thank you again. It's always a pleasure to work with you in the GTDC, and also to get a chance to talk with the distribution and channel executives like we did for the Insights into 2017 report. We embarked on a pretty ambitious approach for this report to really get a detailed look at what the channel is expecting to happen this year. We gathered insights from across the industry. We surveyed more than 70 vendor channel leaders, and we also conducted about 20 detailed interviews with people from both the vendor and distribution sides of the industry. The goal was to get as broad and as diverse and as complete a set of insights as possible. And by the way, you are cordially invited to download the full report from the research tab of the GTDC website, as noted here up on the right. It's easy to find, and you only need to enter your company name and industry category to gain access to the full report. When you get to the page, it's the one titled, appropriately enough, Insights into 2017. And by the way, while you're there, I also encourage you to check out many of the other reports there also. The library includes research into cloud, cloud financing, IoT, the enterprise market, and much more. Now, moving on to our Insights into 2017 findings. Overall, we found some very interesting takeaways from all over the globe, including from Europe. Some of the things were surprising and some things reinforced our expectations. First, nearly 62% of channel execs indicated that they expect indirect to outpace direct sales this year. Of course, that's always good news for the channel and certainly indicates that distributors and solution providers continue to provide value up and down the supply chain to both vendors and end users. Second, another 13% of the vendor respondents indicated that they are already 100% indirect. I think that's an important statistic because, one, it sits on top of the 62% who already indicated that indirect is growing faster, and two, it quantifies a significant portion of the vendor community that is showing complete faith in the IT distribution channel. Next, 7% said they expect direct to grow more rapidly than indirect. That's obviously a big change from several years ago when a number of companies set their sights on driving more sales direct. Now, of course, many former proponents of direct back then are now embracing the channel, and I think it's going to be interesting to see if this number continues to decline over time. Next, our survey reflects the opportunity that distribution and indirect channels represent to vendors. 55% of the vendor respondents expect double-digit growth through distribution this year. Now, obviously, the overall IT market, even through distribution, is not growing at a double-digit pace. What I think this represents is the growing number of smaller, newer startup vendors that are turning to distribution and finding great success. Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the GTDC members have attracted something like 600 new vendors over the last couple of years. Is that correct?
Yes, well, Scott, thank you for that point because, yes, it is true, and we track this number, ladies and gentlemen, through our databases, so we know how many vendors are in the community, and as Scott said, an amazing number. Over the last 2 years, 600 new vendors have come into the community and are now beginning to drive this higher level of growth.
Great. So again, the survey, North America, Europe, clearly distribution is doing the right thing to attract newer, innovative technologies and helping those companies grow. Finally, one of the big attractions for both vendors and solution providers is the distributor's ability to serve vertical markets. 70% of vendors, in fact, expect distributors to develop new business around vertical solutions. Clearly, those investments that distributors are making are paying off. In fact, here's a quote that I thought really summed up what distributors are doing around vertical markets. This from the Executive Director of Distribution at Logicom, one of the European GTDC members in a company, by the way, also celebrating their 30th anniversary in business this year. Michael notes here an example of Microsoft leveraging Logicom's call centers on the cloud front, in particular for an initiative in Saudi Arabia. There's obviously lots more examples of what distributors are doing in vertical markets with cloud, mobility, analytics, and much more. All of it captured in the Insights into 2017 report, again available at GTDC's research page, which I encourage you to visit. Now let's head back to Tim, who will provide his own insights into today's market trends in Europe.
Well, thank you, Scott. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look at some data. We aggregate this data. We collect sales out data from all of our members down to the SKU level and then analyze it to see what are the trends of the market based on the total sales of these distributors, which is a good indicator. They sit in the middle of the supply chain, and you can now see from them what is happening and read through the tea leaves where the market is and where it is heading. So as you can see from this first slide, this is European sales up to the end of March, showing amazing growth in Europe. Now, the slide you're looking at has 3 data sets. It has monthly sales indicated by the red bars at the bottom, and then we track the ongoing sales and a 13-week moving average, so it smooths out the quarterly trends, but we'll zoom in on the chart now to show you what's happening in the most recent period. So as you can see at the bottom, we're tracking all the way back January, February, March 2016 up until March 2017, and I'll show you the rising trend from the summer, but now we'll focus in on the red bars at the bottom to show you how strong Europe has been in the last several months. First quarter was a booming period for Europe. January 17, up 7.7% year over year. February, up 5.1%. March up 9.5%. So clearly, the first quarter in Europe was a very, very strong quarter, indicating that the industry is healthy and growing in spite of all of the other, if you will, distractions like Brexit and other challenges that the continent was facing. Clearly, technology sales are continuing to grow. And this is a growth that has been extremely broad-based, and I think you'll see the next slide very interesting to see how this is happening in all countries. Now here, simply put, a green indicates that that country is showing positive growth, red obviously negative growth, but as you move from right to left, March 2016 up to June, September, December, and then March 2017, you can see that now growth has returned to virtually every country in Western Europe, and in some, the numbers are quite strong. Spain up 12%, France up 4%, Germany up 7%, Norway up 18%. So you've got a real broad-based and strong recovery in all of the major countries in Western Europe. Now, another opportunity for everybody on this call, one of the things the GTDC does is we sponsor conferences that bring together the leadership of the distribution industry. At our conferences, we almost always have the CEOs, the senior vice presidents, the vice presidents of all of the major distributors, and at our next meeting in June in Vienna, we will again have the leadership of the distribution industry together with, we believe, the senior executives of the top 50-plus IT vendors, HP, Cisco, Microsoft, Symantec, all the way down the line. All of those vendor executives will be at this conference together with the distributors, and they'll be able to plan their strategy for the rest of the year. Here's a quick look at the agenda. I'll make a presentation on the state of the distribution industry. We're delighted to have as our keynote speaker Garrett Landhart, who will talk about technology and humanity. What does the future hold? We'll have a panel of executives moderated by Peter Ward of Root Squared and a Q&A session with the audience, and then recognize the rising stars, the vendors that are growing fastest in distribution, not based on a popularity contest, but based on the actual data we have that shows who is growing, and we'll recognize those leaders at the session as well. So please put it in your calendar on June 13th and 14th in Vienna, and we hope to see you there. And if you need further information and would like to register, please do not hesitate to contact us. And then let me thank you and Scott Campbell for joining us here for today's Inside Tech Distribution webinar. If you don't already, please follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter to help you keep up to date on technology distribution in the digital age. If you're a vendor, a solution provider, or an investor, you owe it to yourself to stay informed. Technology distributors are no longer about pick, pack, and ship. Services are what will continue to differentiate them this year and throughout the future. Stay tuned. There's a lot happening, and being in the know will be the utmost value to you. Thank you again, and have a great day.